Empires for their armies, their monuments, their conquests. But the real secret to their endurance was something quieter, hidden in ledgers, traditions, and family councils. Across centuries and continents, a few rare dynasties discovered how to make wealth last far beyond a single lifetime. They understood that money itself was never the goal. It was the engine that powered influence, security, and legacy. And yet, in our time, studies show that 90% of family wealth is gone by the third generation. The same mistakes repeat because the rules that kept wealth alive have been forgotten or ignored. And if you think this is just history, wait until you see how it's playing out in your lifetime. 2,000 years ago, Rome was the beating heart of the known world. Its power stretched from the deserts of Africa to the misty forests of Britain. But Rome's strength wasn't just in its legions or its roads. It was in the way its elite families structured their wealth. Land was the foundation. Estates were passed down intact, protected by legal frameworks that made it nearly impossible to break them apart. These families didn't just pass on property, they passed on political seats, trade rights, and influence in the Senate. They treated wealth as a living organism that had to be fed, protected, and grown. One senator's diary from the 1st century tells of a family that refused to sell a single acre for 200 years and thrived while others fell. But over time, the discipline faded. Estates were sold to fund lavish lifestyles. The roots were cut to enjoy the fruit. And when the economic backbone of Rome weakened, the empire itself began to crumble. The lesson is as sharp today as it was then. Protect the core. Never sell the assets that keep your family tree alive. You can see the same pattern in our own age. Families sell rental properties to buy bigger houses. They cash out of businesses to fund a few years of comfort. The income stops, the security fades, and within a generation, the fortune is gone. The Romans would have called it madness. Half a world away in the 16th century, the Mughal emperors ruled one of the richest empires in history. Their palaces glittered with gold. Their treasuries overflowed with jewels. But their real genius was in how they managed succession. A prince wasn't trusted simply because of his bloodline. He had to prove he could grow the empire's wealth. The Mughals invested in things that outlived them: trade routes, irrigation systems, cities that became centers of commerce for centuries. They understood that legacy was more than inheritance. It was a responsibility. One court historian wrote of a young prince who was denied the throne until he doubled the revenue of his province, a test that ensured the empire's survival. But when later rulers abandoned the merit system, when power was handed to heirs who lacked the skill or discipline to protect it, the rot set in. Corruption hollowed the empire from within. The lesson is clear. Legacy dies when heirs inherit without preparation. We see it in modern boardrooms. A founder builds a company over decades, then hands it to a son or daughter who has never faced a real market challenge. Within years, the business is gone. Preparation is not optional. It is the bridge between generations. In 19th century Europe, the Rothschild family built a banking network that spanned the continent. Their advantage wasn't just capital, it was information. They created a private communication system faster than any government's, allowing them to move money and make deals before rivals even knew what was happening. Each branch of the family specialized in a different market, but profits were pooled to protect the whole. They understood that unity was a force multiplier. A single branch could stumble, but the family would stand. 2 centuries later, their name still commands respect in finance. The lesson is as relevant now as it was then. Information is wealth, and unity multiplies it. These three stories, Rome, the Mughals, and the Rothschilds, are separated by time, culture, and geography, but they share the same DNA. Protect the core, prepare the heirs, unite the branches. Most families fail because they treat wealth as a finish line, not a relay race. They spend the inheritance instead of strengthening it. They hide financial truths from their children instead of teaching them. They divide over petty disputes instead of pooling resources. And when the foundation cracks, it's too late to rebuild. History shows that wealth is not kept by accident. It's kept by design. It's built on discipline, on systems that outlive the people who created them. And it's destroyed by the same forces, over and over: short-term thinking, unprepared heirs, and division. Look around today and you'll see the same traps everywhere. Families selling income-producing assets for quick cash, businesses collapsing after a founder's death, siblings fighting over inheritance until the lawyers take more than the heirs. The patterns are ancient, but so are the solutions. If you want your family story to last longer than your lifetime, you have to think like an empire. Build assets that feed themselves. Teach the next generation before they inherit. Keep the branches united even when it's hard, because the clock is always ticking, and history rewards those who plan for the next 100 years. The empires that mastered generational wealth didn't just leave behind monuments, they left behind blueprints. And those blueprints are still here, waiting for anyone wise enough to use them. The question is whether you will, or whether your story will just be another cautionary tale, lost to time. If this gave you a new way to see the world, don't let it stop here. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. Like the video to push this story further, and share your thoughts in the comments, because the conversation about our future doesn't end when the video does.